Yesterday we talked about proportional relationships from a table, and today we are talking about proportional relationships from a graph. So it's Unit 1, Lesson 13. Still talking about proportional relationships. From graphs. So our Cornell notes. Your name, period, and today's date. All right, our objective is students will be able to create an equation for a proportional relationship from a graph. And our essential question, how can you use a graph to represent proportional relationships? So proportional relationships happen when there is a constant of proportionality, meaning all of the ratios between the two quantities are constant. In a graph, there's two criteria. So here's a graph. When we have two relationships that are proportional, this is the x-axis, this is the y-axis. There's two things that need to be true in order for the relationship to be proportional. The first one is that the graph passes through the origin. And the origin is 0, 0. So right here, we see our graph passes through the origin. There's a point at the origin, so this criteria is met. The second criteria is the points form a straight line. So we see here that the graph is a straight line, so that meets criteria number 2. So this is a proportional relationship. So what makes a graph proportional? So those are our two criteria. All right, let's take a look at an example. We're looking at page 75, example 2. Example 2 says the graph shows the relationship between the weight of an object on the moon and its weight on Earth. Write an equation for this relationship. So we're looking at this graph. We see the Earth weight is x and the moon weight is in the y-axis. So when we graph, we look at the x and y-axis. We labeled the points. It's in the x first and then the y. So this point is at 6, 1. This point here is 12, 2. This point is 18, 3. And this point is 30, 5. So that means if something weighs 6 pounds on Earth, it weighs 1 pound on the moon. If something weighs 12 pounds on Earth, it weighs 2 pounds on the moon. If something weighs 18 pounds on Earth, it's 3 pounds on the moon. If it's 30 pounds on Earth, it's 5 pounds on the moon. So we see that we're going to use the points on the graph to make a table. So here's the graph that we're looking at. Let's go ahead and recreate that on our papers. So it's just a rough sketch. So I have the Earth weight. And I have the moon weight on the y. And my graph looks something like this. It doesn't have to be exact. Here I had 6, 1, and 12, 2. I had 18, 3, and I had 30, 5. Remember, this is the x-axis and the y-axis. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these points and I'm going to turn them into a table just like we had in the last lesson. So this is Earth in the x and moon in the y. So in these coordinates, all of the first numbers are the weights on Earth. So if I have 6 pounds on Earth, I have 12 pounds on Earth, 18 pounds on Earth, and 30 pounds on Earth. And those are the same as 1 pound on the moon, 2 pounds on the moon, 3 pounds on the moon, and 5 pounds on the moon. So I had 6, 1, 12, 2, 18, 3, 30, 5. So now we just do what we did in the previous lesson. I need to find the ratios between the Earth and the moon. And I need to see if they are constant. If they are constant, meaning they're all the same, then I can write an equation. So for number 1, we have x and y. Remember, the constant of proportionality is k equals y over x. So my first ratio is y is the moon, so 1 over 6. Be careful, it's not 6 over 1. It's y first and then x on the denominator. So I can't simplify that anymore. Let's try the second one. 12 over 2. But we want y on the numerator, so it's 2 over 12, and we can divide by 2 over 2, gives us 1/6. And 3, I have 3 over 18, I can divide by 3 to give me 1/6. And the last one, I have 5 over 30, they're both divisible by 5 to get 1/6. So I have 1/6, 1/6, 1/6, and 1/6. now I write an equation. Y equals kx. I know my constant of proportionality is 1/6 because that number is constant. So my equation is y equals 1/6 x. All right, let's try another example. I'm going to draw a graph, and I want you to give me the equation. So I have time in the x and distance in the y. So I'm going to draw a graph and give you a few points. This point is 5, 6. This point is 10, 12. And this point is 15, 18. So remember the steps are write my points in a table with x on the top and y on the bottom. Then I'm going to check for a constant of proportionality and write an equation. Please pause the video for students to try this example. Okay, let's check to see if we got the right answer. So I have a table with time and distance. So all of my x coordinates, 5, 10, and 15, are the time. So this is 5, 10, and 15. Then my distance are all of the y coordinates. So that is 6, 12, and 18. Now I need to check if they are all constant. So I need x is time, y is distance. I need y over x. So number 1, y is 6, x is 5. That's in simplest form. Number 2, y is 12, x is 10. I can divide by 2 and I get 6 over 5. And then number 3, y is 18, x is 15. I can divide by 3 over 3. I get 18 divided by 3 is 6. 15 divided by 3 is 5. So I see 6 over 5, 6 over 5, 6 over 5. That's my constant. So my equation, y equals kx, is just y equals 6 over 5x. All right, let's try another one. There's a graph. Have weeks in the x-axis and days the y-axis. So this is 1, 7. 3, 21. And 6, 42. Go ahead and write an equation for this graph. Pause so students can try it. Let's check our answers. So we need a table with weeks in the x and days in the y. So weeks is the x values. So we have 1 week, 3 week, and 6 weeks. Then our x-axis, or our y-coordinates, 7, 21, and 42. So we need to check if our ratios are equal. So the first one, we have y over x is 7 over 1. Number 2, y is 21, x is 3, and I simplify, and I get 7 over 1. And the last one, our y is 42, x is 6. Can divide by 6, and I get 7 over 1. So I have 7 over 1, 7 over 1, 7 over 1, and my equation is y equals 7 over 1x, or y equals 7x. Okay, the homework. Do 2, 3, 6, 9, and 10, 15. Write the equation on a separate sheet of paper. And number 2. Try 6, 3, 10, 5, and 20, 10. Then I want you to write a summary of at least 3 sentences.